Hello everybody! Today we're going to be looking at 3 unique props from Thomas's sister series, Jak in the Pack. A few months ago, I was reached out to by a few friends over at Tangentially Thomas with the offer of restoring a few Screen News close-up figures for their collection. Obviously, I happily agreed. This is just the first of many restoration videos I'd like to make for this channel, so if you like this format, please let me know. The first figure we're going to be looking at today is easily the one with the most interesting story. This is the screen-used head of Jak Spanksman. He first appeared in the Series 6 two-parter, Jak Jumps In and A Friend in Need, all the way back in 2002. Interestingly, each one of the main characters in the pack is paired with their own unique operator or banksman. They were each individually colored and had both large and small-scale counterparts. Jak's banksman wears an orange uniform with an orange hard hat. Several other similar-looking workmen were also made around this time, but those had brown hard hats instead of the lighter orange as seen here. This particular head was only seen in the 2 Series 6 episodes and was never used again. The last documentation we've seen of it is in this photo from the Series 8 refs, where it's been incorrectly paired with a regular old workman body. The body appears with a new head in the Jak in the Pack spin-off before the series was eventually cut short and canned. But what's more confusing is, despite them never using this model ever again, it was later stripped of its original eyes and given ugly decals for some reason. Yeah, we gotta talk about this. So this figure appeared in the recent prop store auction, with the hat now seemingly repainted a different shade of orange. And of course the eyes being completely ruined and replaced. At first glance, there's no way of even identifying this figure as the original Banksman head. That is until you take a closer look at the eyebrows. Upon careful examination, the eyebrows turn out to be an exact match for the Banksman as it originally appeared in Season 6. If you look closer, the sideburns, hair, and the rest of the face paint appears to be all original. Studying closely around the eye decals, it also showed evidence of painted eyes underneath. These decal eyes are notoriously horrible and difficult to preserve, and in many cases being so delicate and fragile that they barely survive the filming of the show. And then you throw a whole auction into the mix with dozens of people at the auction house, Royal Mail, post office handling this stuff, and yeah, so long story short, the eyes didn't even survive transit. At the very least, we had hoped that perhaps the original eyes were just underneath the decals, but once I received the head to restore, they'd basically completely fallen off to reveal that the original eyes had sadly not been left intact. Since the prop technically never even appeared on screen with the eye decals, and the fact that they're impossible to replace anyway, we saw this as the perfect opportunity to have him restored back to the way he began. So I peeled off the rest of those awful decals and set about restoring the figure to its original Season 6 look. I first started out with a pencil, carefully creating the outlines of the original eyes, and making sure to routinely overlay them with images just to make sure that they were perfectly aligned. After what felt like hours of very carefully trying to match the line thickness, the pupil size, the eyes were finally done. I painted these directly onto the area where the original eyes had been sanded off, and they covered the damage just about perfectly. Except for the fact that it seems like the blush has also been rubbed off. Under the right lighting conditions, it was very obvious that this area had been sanded smooth. So I decided to mask off the eyes and pray as I went in with some skin tones and a red blush color. This was hands down the most grueling part of the restoration, as I had to do multiple passes in order to seamlessly blend and feather the paint without getting any overspray on the rest of the head. When restoring these props, my number one rule is to leave as much of the original paintwork intact as reasonably possible. Thankfully, I managed to blend the retouched areas with the original paint with little to no compromise, and I think it matches pretty good. Just to compare, here he is alongside another screen-used head. This one belongs to Oliver's Banksman, also used in the Jak two-parter, which is also the next prop that I want to talk about. This head is notable because it actually didn't need any restoration whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it's still wearing the exact same mouth stickers seen in the episode. This is the one singular appearance of this head in the entire series, which may sound like a downside, but ironically, as a result of them never using this head in any other episodes, nobody ever thought to change the mouth sticker, thus leaving him perfectly preserved in screen-used condition. Since there was no restoration work necessary, it was really just an excuse to reunite the 3 of them. The third, of course, being the Foreman. The Foreman is just awesome. I mean, look at this guy. He literally looks like Walter White.
Jesse!
This figure, like the other two we've looked at today, is of course made for the Jack in the Pack series, and made its first appearance in Jack Jumps In. The Foreman is an almost Sir Topham Hatt-like character, except a little bit lower down on the chain of command. Miss Jenny is of course the boss, but the Foreman was the one that was often at the scene barking orders and tending to the other characters. He appears in basically every episode of the Jack spin-off. Today, he still wears the mouth sticker last seen in Kelly's Windy Day. Besides a little bit of damage to the brim of his hat, the rest of the detail on this figure was also perfectly preserved and intact. The top and bottom of the hat seem to have fallen victim to resin leaching, which is what happens when the mixture of the two different parts of the resin either aren't evenly mixed or perfectly cured, causing the oils and residue to leach out from the casting. This has happened to me a number of times on my projects, often causing the paint to become sticky or tacky. Sometimes, if it's only a small spot, it can be sanded and repaired, but in extreme cases, this can just flat out ruin whatever casting you're working with. Thankfully though, with the Foreman, the damage was minimal, and I was able to safely scrape away all the damaged paint. Afterwards, I carefully airbrushed the brim back to its flat black color. And now he's as good as new. If you've been watching closely, you may have noticed that this guy has a mustache. So I figured I'd better pair him up with another guy with a mustache. This is of course Thomas's driver from season 1, made all the way back for the Down the Mine pilot in 1983. What a great excuse to get these two together. And that's basically it for these guys. Huge thank you to the folks over at Tangentially Thomas for giving me the opportunity to work on these guys. They've also preserved the original model of Kelly, as well as some other fun figures, so definitely check them out if you like seeing Thomas props being taken care of. And thank you so much to each of our patrons. It's really been nice having everyone's feedback and support since we launched this. And a special shout out to our Super Controller patrons, Sith Destroyer, Serpent_Sinner, and JJ's mom. Thank you, mom. If you'd like to join and see videos early along with other exclusive perks, there will be a link down below. And as no one on this entire website has ever said before, thanks for watching.